I have paint freckles, and I'm proud of them. Hey everybody, it is Cinnamon Cooney, your art Sherpa, and I am really excited to bring to you today this really cool rain lesson. This is an up-close view of a puddle. I literally was sitting there looking at a puddle being rained on and got inspired. And so now there's a painting that I want to share with you. And it's going to be a lot of fun. The materials are simple. The process is simple. I'm going to show you every part of it through the entire thing so you can complete this and hang this on your wall at home. Check out the materials list in the description below with links and more information. Also, if you're feeling super optimistic, you could hit the subscribe button now. But either way, grab your paint, grab your brushes, and come back and meet me at Diesel right now. Let's get started. As we begin this painting, I want you to think about a couple of things to help you relax and just be settled in knowing that you can do this. Yes, this is a 16 by 20 gessoed black canvas, but guess what? You can just paint a white canvas black with Mars black paint. So if you don't have one, that doesn't have to stop you from painting. Number two is your painting doesn't need to look exactly like mine. Your goal is just to follow along with the steps, embrace the techniques, and complete the project. You're going to be surprised with what you get, but we're not trying to make photocopies of each other. We're trying to be creative for an hour and relax and let our worries kind of drift away as we paint this beautiful rainy day. I'd like to get started, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun together. I'm going to introduce you to my friend, the 2-inch brush. This is sometimes these are called chip brushes. These are house brushes. These are sort of inexpensive brushes. You want one that doesn't shed a lot on you and is a bit scruffy. This is a technical painting term. If you look at it and you think, it's a little scruffy, you'd have the right brush. I'm not going to dip this in water because I actually want my effect to be what's called a dry brush. In other words, I haven't put a lot of moisture in the water to affect the flow of the paint. I'm going to show you how I do this technique. You're going to have a lot of fun doing it with me. First, come to your palette. You've got your titanium white, your Mars black, and your phthalo blue. Pull out your titanium white. See how that is just on the edges of this brush? I may even flip the brush over a little bit to make sure that my brush is dusted everywhere with this paint. Then get very carefully, because Mars black is a powerful black, a little black, and then also a smidge of blue. See how this is just all dusted right here? It's not deep into the brush. It's just here on the edge. The brush is dry. I'm going to come to my canvas and beginning at the top with a very fluid stroke, I'm going to go straight down. Just this. This is the first layer of rain. Gravity is pulling it to earth. Now it's okay if your stroke wanders to the side a little tiny bit, because frankly, I'm going to come back and get some more paint. If I'm painting and I find that I'm making brush strokes and nothing is happening, I know it's time to go visit my palette again. You know, wind can blow your rain a little bit, but mostly we're trying to create that straight down, pouring, restoring the earth kind of rain. See, I'm just dry brushing it, blending it. It's fantastic. Could not be any easier. Let's put another layer on there. Pulling out my white, pulling this out, grabbing a very careful amount of black, and then a smidge of the blue. I'll just make sure. Sometimes I can come from another little angle on the little paint plop here. And it's just about getting this little edge here. Just brushing it down. My pressure is fairly smooth. A thing that you're going to notice is that I hold my brush like this and my pinky tends to rest into the bristles here. And that's because it allows me to really press what I've got going on into the canvas. We're going to focus a little more up here. I'm going to get a little more aggressive into my paint and maybe pull just some black, but not pick up any more blue because I've got some on the brush. And just make sure that I have a couple stronger bouts of this. You can see my pinky controlling it. When I need to flip it, I'll flip it over. Just giving me some depth and tonality. That's pretty nice. That feels pretty rainy. Now, I had a lot of options here. Something to think about. You could, if you were not a fan of blue, switch this to a brown or a green or another color. Every time you change the color or feeling in a monochromatic painting, which is what this is, that means it's not a lot of colors. It's a really simple color palette, right? You know, generally black and white, brown and white. If you change that, then it changes the feeling. So this cool blue is very urban and it's very clean, but you might want a warm rustic brown. Those choices are up to you, and never be afraid to take those kind of risks in your painting. Now I'm going to take my ruler, and if you look here, this is about the halfway mark of my canvas. Right here is my halfway mark. If I were just to travel down to the halfway mark between my halfway mark, I've got a nice chalk pencil here. You could just use kids' chalk if it's laying around your house, a fairly level line. That's going to help me later when I'm putting in my water, because sometimes it can be hard to keep level or straight lines. Next part's a little bit messy, but it's a heck of a lot of fun. Now I have fluid titanium white paint here. I'm going to push this out. You could also, and I'll demonstrate this to you right now in a little area, take water and thin the paint that you have. Okay? See how I've thinned the paint that I have? Both of these things definitely will work. I just like the convenience of my fluid paint. And I'm also going to show you this. This is a little buddy of mine. It is a splatter brush. These are special brushes made for different types of splatter. I'm going to show you how to use this brush correctly, but I'm going to tell you that there's a bunch of other ways to do this technique without a splatter brush. It's really up to you and what makes your creative time fun. For me, this wonky little tool is a joy, and I enjoy pulling it out and using it for a variety of things. When I go with the splatter brush, I dip this in the paint, getting the edges of these little plastic filaments tipped with white, and then I rub them between my fingers. See how I'm squeezing that? It distributes it through my brush. I'm going to step back from my painting a little bit, take a deep breath, pull it back, and let go. Pretty fun stuff, very messy. Not a good idea for beautiful granite countertops, but paint does come off, and if ever you get paint somewhere you don't want it, rubbing alcohol will take that right off. And if you don't have rubbing alcohol, good hand sanitizer will do it too. Breaks acrylic paint right down. I do my little squish again. These are the raindrops that are caught in this moment that we're capturing. And so that's one way of doing this. You can take your canvas outside to splatter it. You can just say, hey, I think you're crazy, and I'm not going to be splattering my canvas today. And that would also be okay. Closer you get, the bigger the splatters. Farther you get, the smaller the splatters. All right. Now, just in case you don't have a splatter brush and aren't going to be able to get one, or just aren't interested in having one, you can do the two-brush whacking method, or you can use a toothbrush and flick it back. Both of those are acceptable. If you'd like to know more about these types of techniques or anything else that I'm showing you in this painting, you can often find more information at theartsherpa.com. Well, that was a lot of fun. Look at this. I've got paint freckles. Well, you really know when you're an artist when you got paint all over you and not on the canvas. That's when you're officially there. You've made it as a creative person. Let's start putting in our water technique. You're going to find this really easy and quite a lot of fun. I'm going to grab a bright. This is a number 10 bright. Brights are shorter than flats, and this has a very firm filament. That's what I prefer for acrylic painting, is a firm filament. You might like a softer brush, but I like one with a little more oomph to it. I'm going to lay in my water. Now, even though this painting is quite abstract, here I'm going to be dipping in my cup, and then I take off my excess water. See, my brush isn't very soaked, so that when I go to get my paint, it's not all wet and crazy. That's a thing that I have that you might not know about. I'm going to take a little of my blue paint out with this number 10, and a little of my black, a smidge of my white here, just working those. And I'm going to come along this line that I did in and define that. This is far away. This viewpoint, to give you perspective, would be laying on the ground looking at rain hitting a puddle. So if you were to add an object to this painting, for the scale of it, you would add like a boot. Or you could add a paper boat. I am making sure my brush strokes are horizontal. Horizontal brush strokes really help imply that something is water. I've just grabbed black and I've grabbed a little blue. It's just on the edge of this brush, but I might grab a little white to add some interest. But see, it's just dusted. And I'm going back and forth, just keeping everything horizontal. This is my first layer. Doesn't have to be perfect, but what I do want it to be is horizontal. Just going through this, not stressing out. Lots of things in life are stressful. Art is not supposed to be one of them. This isn't the place for that. So be real easy and forgiving with yourself, even if you tend to be a little hard on yourself in life. In this space, on your canvas, be real mellow and nice to yourself. Are you being mellow and nice to yourself? Okay, good. I don't know if that works, but sometimes I wonder if at home you stop and think to yourselves, yeah, I can be more mellow and nice with myself. You just never know. And this is really fun. Just back and forth. You can just see how that is. Remember, you can always look at the reference photo to get a sense of where you are if you feel lost. I am getting a little brighter in my color as I come forward. That's because things that are far away from me in the distance tend to be a little more gray, and things that are up close are brighter and more vibrant. And even in an abstract painting, I like to make sure that I pay attention to those things. You see how my brush isn't very wet, so even when I'm getting colors, it's not messing with me. Not messing with me at all. I'm just going back and forth. Hopefully you are too. Just making sure I'm sort of painting what's underneath. It doesn't need to be perfectly covered. It's okay that there's some drops showing. That's all right. We may add some more drops once we get this in. Paintings are about layers, and even though this is a really simple painting, it has some really fun layers in it. All right. You may have decided at this point, though, that you will not be splattering another canvas again. And that's okay, too. Just because I do something or pick a color or make a decision creatively in my space doesn't mean you have to do the exact same thing. You're just trying to understand the skills and techniques used in making a painting like this. That's all. Going back and forth, just making sure I'm nice and horizontal. Super excited about that. Now, if you look right here, you're going to notice that there's a lot of activity on the water. We're going to start painting that in. But something to think about. Even when things are abstract, you still have to pay attention to ideas that you might use in traditional perspective or regular painting. Like objects that are far away might be blurrier, grayer, or smaller. So as I'm working in the back, those brush strokes will be a little bit smaller and less defined. And as I come up closer, those objects will be very defined. And that's what gives this a lot of depth and emotion in space. And I know you can do it. All right, let's pull out this blue. I'm loading both sides of the brush like you can see here. I'm grabbing quite a bit more white. I'm going to start just making little back and forth rough brush strokes. It's okay that they're not neat and tidy. I don't want them to be neat and tidy. I want them to be rough and messy. Get some more white, get a little more black. You can see how that's loaded on my brush. And just add this much grayer color just back and forth. You can see that I am letting these brush strokes be very rough, but they're still very horizontal. Sometimes you can get some just black and put it a couple of places because that implies deep and turbulent water. Now I'll grab a little blue. I haven't rinsed my brush very much, if you've noticed. And that really helps me. I'm going to just let the paint go off my canvas. You can kind of see my pressure from how that canvas presses in. And that can help you in deciding what you're going to do. Grabbing just blue and white. Coming back up where I've defined and sort of weave these colors together. See, I'm weaving them together. It's not that any of this stuff is particularly hard. It's just if you hadn't painted a lot, you might not know to do it this way. And so it can feel hard. And I think that's what's exciting about art, is that it can be explained. Now I'm pulling out some just blue and a little white. You can see that on the brush right there. Having just a great time. This is much brighter right here. A little more blue, maybe a little black, white. Just letting it be bright and okay. Now, if you did something you felt was a mistake, what would you do? You would let the paint dry and just paint right over it. Acrylic paint is very easy to paint over when it's dry. All right, I'm pulling out some black, maybe a little white. Haven't rinsed my brush. And I'm going to add some of this murkier depths. Not too much because I need to leave room to create shadows. I'm going to get some blue and some white. Don't really like that right there, so I'm painting right over it. And that's something that you can do too. Now I've got the basics of my water in. I'm going to start putting in some of the bits where the raindrops are hitting the surface and the surface is bouncing up. That's actually the really fun part of this, and it was a lot of fun to observe. I'm going to take a number 4 brush to do this. This is a bright number 4. And I'm going to come and first I'm going to kind of in the back make very small little splashes. I'm going to get my white smidged with just a little bit of black so it's not perfectly white. And maybe right back here in this little corner I'm going to say, oh, some water is hitting here. These are small bits. They don't have to be perfect. And this is one of those pieces that I want you to back away from a lot during your creation process so you can see how that it comes together, right? Just when the drops that are far, far away, guys, they would be very tiny and they wouldn't really show up. Even though this isn't a puddle, this perspective is still really true. A little bit there. I don't want to take this much past this midpoint because I'm going to have some highly defined drops right here. And I want to make sure, well, they're defined and abstract at the same time. It's sort of interesting. But we're going to talk about why that can work. Now that I've got that in, go ahead and come and get just a little black. And I'm going to zigzag. You can see it sort of around some deeper space in this. Now I might even come under this one here and make a little shadow and make sure there's a little shadow under here. Stuff is happening. It's rough, crazy stuff in this puddle. If you were a snail, it'd be freaking you out. If you were a snail. But you're not, so you're going to paint it. I'm going to rinse out my brush, wipe it off, and I'm going to start putting in the space that's my big droplets. That's where the water is hitting the surface. And that crown, if you think about like commercials or things that you've seen, where the milk comes up, it looks a little bit like a crown. And how we first start to get that in is 4 shortened circles, or the easy way of saying it is an ellipse. Now, if you've ever had trouble drawing a circle, it is okay to go ahead and sketch these in with chalk paint, right? You could sit there and say, well, I'm not really sure how I'm going to do it, and do it with your chalk paint. I'm going to do mine with paint because I feel fairly confident about it. But remember, there isn't one way to complete any painting. This is just my way to complete this painting. Right here, I'm going to do a really defined drop. This is going to be my most thought about drop. This drop is the most in focus for me. And I'm going to make a nice kind of ellipse here. I'll grab a little of my blue paint. This is where this drop is going to come from. I'm going to paint some of this out. I just want to know where that shadow is. And this dry brush is going to come around and show those little circles that would be radiating out. Now I'm going to add some more of these drop spaces around different sizes though. This one's a little smaller. They could have a friend right back here where this nice big fat happy drop is landed. Drops are always happy to land in the water. Hopefully you're happy to land in your water. Maybe a little shadow here for one, and a little shadow here. And I think we can imply one. It's not real specific, see? And we're going to come and abstract this up a lot. We just want to know where those spaces are. So I'm going to pull out a little more blue into my brush. And then I'm going to grab, oh, I got too much. That can happen. I'm going to grab some white. And I want this sort of on the tip of my brush. And I'm going to come right here. I'm going to paint out. And come right here. I'm going to paint out a little bit. See, they're sort of arced out. And then I'm going to come up and down, and that is the crown. Now, your temptation will be to really worry about this stuff. Come along and make the little half smile right here. But don't. As long as it's higher up here and it's getting lower down here, right? And then you're going to take those little brush strokes out and paint that all in. That's step 1 of painting this water drop. Now, while you still have that color, we're going to make crowns, but ours aren't going to show the inside everywhere, just some of the wares. So these, we're going to just do similar shapes. The trick to this will be to come on the edge of your brush here and be going down and up. Maybe the water hits the highest here, coming down and over. Isn't that fun? Sometimes looking at things small helps you understand how they are big. I'll come here and I'll make this part higher here. I'm going to add a lot more colors to these that'll help them feel like water, but right now I'm just putting that first value in. Isn't it interesting how shadows and just slightly lighter colors are already start to make the shapes of things? going to come here in this corner here. Oh, I'm going to go up. And that one's going to go quite up. You can look online at lots and lots of pictures of water drops and how they are when they hit the water. You can go outside and watch a water drop hit. Now I'm going to say, woo, this one's going to have a little more activity. See, I go flick back. I'm going to get a little more of my paint. If your brush gets too dry, you can dip it in water. Yeah, that's just super easy. Make sure the bottom sits nicely in the shadow. And got some different heights. And then I could have one interesting one. He started sort of off the canvas here, and he's going to come up right here. He's an interesting design choice. I really liked him, and I decided to keep him in. He needs to be a little darker, though. But he can be brighter than the ones behind him. Just make sure that he has some of the same rules as his friends. Now, right here, I'm going to pull out a little more white paint than I did before, creating a slightly lighter value than how I painted these in. And I'm going to start here. Get a little more blue on it. It's too light, and that'll happen. You don't want it too light, you just want it slightly lighter. And join these in. And that's going to help us tell the story of that drop right there. Okay, so there we are. We have all those in. Now, you can start adding a little bit of the choppy value between these with this 4-inch. So I'm going to get some blue and white. And I'm going to very carefully zigzag levelly some brush strokes. And see how they go back and forth? Some of them are long. I'm creating some choppiness to the water. Oh, I painted that out, so I got to wipe off my brush, go back and get a little black and a little blue. And come back and make sure that my radiating circles are intact, or my big drop just doesn't feel like he should. I'm going to come here and just add some of those up close defining water values. Just a little bit of that happening. Maybe this goes back there a little bit, this little highlight. Just keep it real rough and level. That's your whole trick with this, is rough and level. Maybe give a little scrumble there, saying something's happening there. It's interesting how very little can say a lot. You can come and get a little blue and a little black. Might need a little water to make sure that goes. And you can tell some richer color stories through here. I'm weaving them in. See how this starts to just feel like scrumbly happy water? How easy and fun could that be? Pretty fun, pretty easy. If it gets unlevel, you can always come back in and just level it out. I grabbed some black and I'm just leveling that out. Okay. Now, I'm going to do an interesting thing. I'm going to get some just white on my brush, just on the tips here. See that? Just on the tips. And I'm going to, it's almost like frost the edge of this drop right here. Maybe I'll put some little bits off there. I'm going to frost here. If this number 4 bright is giving you trouble, you can move to a detail round or another brush that you have more control over. Little drops there. We're coming up. Let's make sure we do this to our little drop friends so that they're expressive and energetic. Fun to do that. Oh, gotta get some more. It's just the tip. It's not very deep down into the drop. It's just these little edges where the light is reflecting and refracting through. We're abstractly telling the story, which is why some of it goes up into the air like this. And we're just dancing along. Sometimes it's hard to let the control go and be expressive in our painting. That's okay. Look at that. Those water drops are energetic now, aren't they? You're having a moment now. Now right here, just a little bit, I'm going to make sure that the paint is right to the tip. I'm going to add just a little bit of highlight to the circles happening around here. See, I'm dry brushing those. That's all that takes. I'm going to rinse my brush off. And I want to deepen that shadow right there, just to make sure that it's very dark. I'm pulling at the last of my blue. I'm just adding that deep shadow right here. And I might even add a little bit softly on this water right here. And a little smile. See how that is? You can give this guy a little shadow too if he needs it. I think these guys are pretty good. I'm liking it. Feels like I've captured some water drops being hit and thrown down. You can look for some spaces. If anything feels empty, you can load up that brush and be like, no, 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 I think there's something here. Just little soft stories in the distance. You know, this is happening out there. Now, we have that. We get to get our fun brush out again. You might have to put out some blue like I do. And it's okay to just put out what you need and then have to put out more paint. That saves money as much as different types of paint. So, you know, all of these things are good, good, good. I'm going to just smidge with a tip, a little bit of blue. It's just sort of dusty. You can see how I'm working the brush around, so it's on there, but it's not really on there. And I'm going to grab my white. My fluid white is not as good for this. The heavy body of my paint helps the dry brush effect, whereas fluid paint tends to want to really cover the surface and self-level, so it's not as helpful in that way. So I'm really going to get some white on this, and I'm going to come here and very lightly cross the line a little bit over what I painted, just a smidge. This is super light. This is just to help that rain fall down through my whole water. I'm going to fix that right there by going over it again a little bit. I feel like it's not feeling super up and down, and that's something I definitely want it to be more up and down. So this is super light, not a lot of paint, what this is. Making that be more up and down. There we go, more up and down. Even I sometimes have to work an area over again. Just keep that going. Don't worry about that. Brushing up if it's easier for you to keep yourself together, brushing up and brushing down. See, I'm not putting too much here, just the small dusting, but what I want is this really, really in focus. So just look for where you feel like, you need to. Define your rain a little more. Let it be pouring down a little more. And then, of course, the last part is my favorite part of this painting, the last splatter. Dun, 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 which, of course, you don't have to do, but I really like to do it, so I'm going to do it. I'm going to load my brush. Squish, squish, squish. And a lot of my splatter, I'm going to focus down here because I want that to be coming up from the water. But it can get up top. I'm just trying to create some space where the splatter is more on my canvas than on my face. Maybe. So this is a fun project. This is a messy project. But it's a fun project. Oh, I got some good fat splatters there. I like that. And a bunch more in my face. All right. Let's sign it because I think we're done. I'm going to get a little detail brush to do that. Get my brush wet, wipe off the excess water. And I'm going to take advantage of this awesome fluid paint. I'm going to show you something interesting. A lot of people like to sign right here, but sometimes you could sign right here because it might look better for the painting. And it's okay to think about those things. Right? Woo! How is your rainy day? Do you feel like you let everything rain and wash down and wash away? I hope so. This was a lot of fun to do with you. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I hope you enjoyed painting this and creating this. I hope you'll share it with your friends. I hope you'll share the painting that you completed with me. I hope you'll definitely hit that like button. Comment down below. Tell me what you liked about this lesson. Tell me what you're hoping to paint next. And also, I want you to meet me at the easel again really, really soon. All right, bye-bye.